For 7 years, my former in-laws sent me exactly $800 every month. Not once did they miss a payment. Not even after their son divorced me. At first, I thought it was guilt. Then I thought maybe they were helping their granddaughter. But after 7 years, I had stopped asking questions. Until my daughter turned 10. That morning, she found the old bank statements in my desk. "Mom, who keeps sending you this money?" I hesitated. "Your grandparents." She looked confused. "Dad's parents." I nodded. "Why?" I didn't have an answer. Her father, Michael, hadn't spoken to me in 7 years. His parents hadn't either. Yet every month, $800 appeared in my account with the same description. "For Emma. My daughter stayed at the statement. Can we go thank them?" I smiled. "I think we should." So that weekend, we drove 3 hours to their house. I hadn't been there since my divorce. I remembered the white porch, the oak tree beside the driveway, the brass knocker shaped like a lion. Everything looked exactly the same. Emma held a small gift basket against her chest. "Do you think they'll be happy to see us?" "I hope so." I knocked. Nobody answered. I knocked again. Then the door slowly opened. An elderly woman stood there. It was Michael's mother. She looked at me, then at Emma. The color drained from her face. "Oh my God!" She grabbed the door frame. Emma smiled. "Grandma." The woman covered her mouth. Then she started crying. I felt confused. "Are you okay?" She looked at me with tears running down her cheeks. "You came?" I nodded. "We wanted to thank you for everything you've done for Emma." She shook her head. "No." Her voice trembled. "You don't understand." Before I could ask what she meant, she stepped aside. "Come inside." We entered. The house was strangely quiet. No photographs of Michael. No family portraits. Nothing that suggested anyone had lived there recently. Then I noticed something on the hallway wall. A framed photograph of Emma. I stopped walking. "Why do you have that?" My former mother-in-law looked at the picture, then at me. "Because your daughter is the only reason we kept sending that money." I frowned. "I know." She shook her head. "No, sweetheart." She reached for my hand. "We weren't sending it because we wanted to help you." Her eyes filled with tears. "We were paying someone to keep you safe." I stared at her. "Keep me safe from who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she closed the front door and locked it. Then she checked the curtains. My daughter noticed. "Grandma, what's wrong?" The woman forced a smile. "Nothing, sweetheart." But her hands were shaking. I looked around the living room again. There were no recent family photographs. No pictures of Michael. No wedding photos. Nothing. "Where's Michael?" Her face changed. "He isn't here." "I know. I mean, where is he?" She looked at my daughter, then at me. "You were never supposed to come here." My stomach tightened. What does that mean? Before she could answer, an older man entered from the hallway. Michael's father. He stopped when he saw us. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then he looked at my daughter. "She's exactly like him." I frowned. "Like who?" He looked at his wife. She whispered, "We have to tell her." He shook his head. "Not here." I stepped forward. "Tell me what?" He walked to a locked cabinet and removed a thick folder. He placed it on the table. Inside were bank statements. The same $800 payments. But there were hundreds of them. I stared at the total. "That's more than $6,000 to $7,000. He nodded. "We know." "Why?" He opened another document. It was a private investigator's report. My name was on the first page. So was Emma's. I started reading. 7 years ago, someone had hired an investigator to follow us. There were photographs of my apartment, my workplace, Emma's school, even the playground where I took her every Saturday. My hands went cold. Who hired them? Michael's father looked away. "We don't know." I looked at him. You've known someone was watching us for 7 years. His wife started crying. We knew there was a threat. What threat? She whispered. Your ex-husband. I froze. Michael. Her husband nodded. Before your divorce, Michael told us he was afraid of what you might discover. I stared at them. What was I supposed to discover? The older man opened the final page. It contained a photograph of Michael standing outside a courthouse. Beside him was a woman I didn't recognize. Underneath the photograph was a handwritten note. He never divorced her for the reason you were told. I looked up. Then why did he leave me? Michael's father slowly answered. Because he was trying to protect himself. I read the investigator's report again. Then I looked at Michael's parents. What was he protecting himself from? His father sat down. From what he did. My daughter was still standing beside me. I didn't want her hearing this. Emma, sweetheart, go look at the garden with Grandma. She nodded. The moment she disappeared through the back door, I turned around. Tell me everything. Michael's father opened another folder. 7 years earlier, shortly before our divorce, Michael had been accused of stealing money from his company. I remembered that. He had told me the accusations were false. Then, suddenly, he filed for divorce. He moved out. He stopped answering my calls. His parents begged me not to contact him. I thought he hated me, but according to the documents, that wasn't what happened. Michael had discovered that someone inside his company was moving money through accounts connected to him, and someone was trying to make it look like he was responsible. I stayed at the records. Why didn't he tell me? His mother wiped her eyes. Because they threatened you. Who? She hesitated. His business partner. I felt a chill. Who was his business partner? His father pushed another photograph toward me. I recognized the man immediately. It was the same man I had seen with Michael outside the courthouse. His name was David. He had attended our wedding. He had been one of Michael's closest friends. And for years, I had believed he was one of the few people who genuinely supported our marriage. I looked at the photograph again. Why was he following me? Michael's father shook his head. He wasn't following you. He opened another report. He was following Emma. My stomach dropped. What? The report contained photographs of my daughter leaving school, walking into a grocery store, playing at the park, getting into my car. 7 years of photographs. 7 years of surveillance. I couldn't breathe. Why would he watch a child? Michael's mother grabbed my hand. Because Michael believed David wanted something from her. What? She looked toward the garden. Then she whispered. Something Michael left behind before he disappeared. I stared at her. Disappeared. She nodded. We lied to you about where Michael went. My heart started pounding. Where is my ex-husband? His father looked me directly in the eyes. He's been alive this entire time. Where is he? My voice barely sounded like mine. Michael's father looked toward the locked cabinet. He's been hiding. From David. Yes. I shook my head. You let me believe my husband abandoned us. His mother started crying. We were trying to keep you alive. I wanted to be angry. Instead, I felt confused. Why would Michael need to hide from his own business partner? His father opened the cabinet again. Inside was a small black box. He handed it to me. Michael left this for you. I opened it. Inside was a flash drive and a folded letter. The handwriting was unmistakable. Michael's. My hands trembled as I unfolded it. If you're reading this, Dad finally told you I'm alive. I'm sorry it took 7 years. I stopped, then continued. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because David discovered what was in Emma's name. I looked up. What is in Emma's name? His mother whispered. An inheritance. I stared at her. My mother left Emma money. No. She shook her head. Your grandfather did. I froze. My father had died before Emma was born. I remembered his will. There had been a trust. but I had never seen the details. Michael's letter continued. Your father left Emma a trust worth nearly $4 million. David found out about it through a lawyer. My stomach tightened. He believed I had access to it through you. I read the next line. When I refused to help him, he threatened to destroy you. Then came the sentence that broke me. I filed for divorce because David told me he would hurt Emma if I stayed with you. I covered my mouth. 7 years. I had spent 7 years believing my husband had chosen another life. He had actually been hiding to protect ours. But then I saw the final paragraph. There's something I never told you. I stayed at the page. David wasn't acting alone. My blood ran cold. The letter continued. Someone inside our family helped him find Emma's trust. I looked at Michael's parents. Neither of them spoke. Who? His father lowered his head. We don't know. I didn't believe him. Then my daughter came running inside. Mom. She stopped when she saw my face. What's wrong? Before I could answer, a car door slammed outside. Michael's mother rushed to the window. Her face turned white. That's impossible. I looked outside. A black SUV was parked across the street, and someone was standing beside it. David. David stood beside the SUV and looked directly at me. He smiled. It's been a long time. My daughter moved closer to me. I stepped in front of her. How did you find us? David shrugged. I've always known where you were. Those words made my stomach turn. Michael's father locked the front door. David laughed. You really think that will stop me? I reached for my phone. He raised his hands. Relax. I didn't come here for trouble. Then why are you here? He looked at the house. I came to finish something Michael started. My heart pounded. What did he start? David's smile disappeared. He stole something from me. No, Michael's father said. He protected his family. David looked at him. Your son destroyed everything. I stepped forward. What did Michael steal? David stared at me. The evidence. I froze. What evidence? David pointed toward the black box on the table. That. My hands tightened around it. You know what's inside. I know what it proves. Then David said something I never expected. Michael didn't disappear 7 years ago. I stared at him. He was arrested. My mother-in-law gasped. David continued. He was released after agreeing to testify against me. I looked at Michael's parents. They had never told me. Where is he now? David smiled. Ask your father-in-law. I turned. Michael's father looked terrified. Dad! He lowered his head. Michael is nearby. Where? Before he could answer, the lights suddenly went out. My daughter screamed. The house went completely dark. Then I heard glass breaking in the hallway. Someone had entered through the back window. Michael's mother grabbed Emma. Take her upstairs. I pulled my daughter toward me. David was no longer outside. I heard footsteps moving through the house. Then a man's voice came from the darkness. Claire. I froze. I knew that voice. I hadn't heard it in 7 years. My daughter looked at me. Mom. The footsteps stopped. A figure appeared in the doorway. Older, thinner, but unmistakable. Michael. He looked at me, then at our daughter. His eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. I couldn't move. Then he whispered, David isn't here for the money. He looked toward the hallway. He's here because he knows what happened the night I disappeared. I stared at Michael. You're alive. He nodded. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to hug him. I wanted to ask why he had let me spend 7 years believing he abandoned us. Instead, I whispered, Why didn't you come home? His eyes filled with tears. Because the night I disappeared, David tried to kill me. My daughter clung to my arm. Michael looked at her. I couldn't risk coming back. What happened? He glanced at his parents. They know. His father finally spoke. David found out about Emma's trust. He wanted the money transferred before she turned 18. And Michael refused, his mother added. Michael nodded. So David framed me for the company theft. I remembered the divorce papers, the accusations, the sudden disappearance. Everything began fitting together. But why divorce me? Michael looked at me. Because David told me he would kill you if I didn't. My eyes burned. He showed me photographs of you and Emma. He knew your schedule. He knew where she went to school. He paused. I believed him. I couldn't speak. Then I remembered the $800. Your parents have been sending me money. Michael nodded. I asked them to. Why? Because I needed to know you were okay. I stayed at him. You could have called. I wanted to. Then why didn't you? He looked toward the black box. Because David wasn't the only person watching you. My stomach tightened. Who else? Michael hesitated. Then he said, Your father. I froze. My father died 8 years ago. I know. He opened the black box. Inside was a second photograph. It showed my father meeting David. The date was 6 months after my father's funeral. I stayed at it. That can't be him. Michael shook his head. It isn't. He turned the photograph over. Written on the back were 6 words. He died. Someone took his identity. I looked at Michael. Who? He took a breath. We don't know. Then a noise came from upstairs. A door slammed. Everyone froze. Michael grabbed my hand. Stay here. I heard footsteps above us. Then my daughter's bedroom door opened. A man's voice called from upstairs. Claire, if you want your daughter alive, bring me the trust documents. Bring me the trust documents. The voice came from upstairs. My entire body went cold. Michael grabbed my arm. Don't move. Then we heard Emma scream, Mom. I ran toward the stairs. Michael caught me. Claire, wait. That's my daughter. I know. He pulled the flash drive from the box. David wants the trust. If we give him the wrong thing, he'll kill her. My mother-in-law suddenly whispered, There is no trust document. I looked at her. What? She shook her head. The original trust was destroyed. Michael stared at her. Mom, what are you saying? She looked at me. The $4 million was never the real secret. I felt my heart pound. Then what is? She pointed toward the black box. The flash drive. Michael inserted it into his laptop. A folder appeared. Inside were dozens of files, bank records, emails, photographs, then one video. Michael opened it. David appeared on the screen. But he wasn't alone. Standing beside him was my father. I stopped breathing. My father looked exactly as I remembered him, except the video was dated 3 years after his funeral. Michael looked at me. This is what I've been trying to prove. I watched the video. My father said, Once Michael disappears, Claire will believe he abandoned her. David replied, And the daughter? My father looked directly into the camera. She'll be the key. I felt sick. My daughter wasn't just being watched. She had been part of their plan from the beginning. Then my father said something that made Michael's face change. Her mother doesn't know the truth about Emma's birth. I turned toward Michael. What does that mean? He didn't answer. I grabbed his arm. What does that mean? Before he could speak, Emma screamed again. This time, the scream was followed by silence. Michael ran upstairs. I followed. We reached my daughter's room. The window was open. The curtains were moving in the wind. Emma was gone. I screamed her name. Then I saw something on the bed. A single envelope. My name was written across it. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was one sentence. If you want your daughter back, ask Michael who Emma's real father is. I looked at Michael. He had gone completely white. Michael stayed at the envelope. Claire, you have to listen to me. Where is my daughter? I'm going to get her. You said you knew the truth. I do. Then tell me. He closed his eyes. Emma isn't my biological daughter. Everything inside me went silent. What? David discovered it before she was born. I shook my head. No, you're lying. Michael stepped closer. When we got married, I knew you had been pregnant before the wedding. You told me Emma was mine because you believed she was. My mind raced back 7 years. The hospital, the paperwork, the night I had told Michael I was pregnant. There had been one thing I had never understood. Why my father had insisted on handling the hospital bills himself. Michael continued, "Your father knew the truth." I whispered, "Who is Emma's father?" He looked at me. "David." I couldn't breathe. "No, he was with you once, before we married. Your father found out. He made David promise to stay away." I felt sick. "Then why did you marry me?" "Because I loved you." I stared at him. "And you raised her knowing." "She was my daughter in every way that mattered." Then we heard a phone ringing. Michael pulled his phone from his pocket. "Unknown number." He answered. David's voice came through. "You finally told her." Michael's face hardened. "Where's Emma?" "Safe." I grabbed the phone. "Let me speak to my daughter." David laughed. "She isn't your daughter." I felt tears running down my face. "She is my child." "No," he said. "She's my leverage." Michael stepped closer. "What do you want?" "The flash drive." "You'll get it." "And one more thing." David paused. "I want Claire." My blood froze. Michael shook his head. "No." David replied calmly. "Then you'll never see Emma again." The call ended. I looked at Michael. "What are we going to do?" He picked up the black box. "We're going to give him what he wants." I stared at him. "You can't." He smiled faintly. "Not the real flash drive." For the first time that night, I understood. Michael hadn't survived 7 years by running. He had survived by preparing. And now we were finally going to turn the trap around.